Hoo-wee! It's hot out here today. I mean, it's hot. Whew, it's about 95 degrees. I actually got the fan on. I hope it doesn't interfere with the sound, but I need some air to move out here. But as always, friends, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and listening to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. So, whenever anybody, and I mean anybody out there, wants to get traded, you know where they always talk about going to: the Dallas Cowboys. You forget that there's 31 other teams out there that, 30 other teams that could be traded to. They always talk about it's the Dallas Cowboys. So, Mary Kay Cabot? I thought Cabot was some kind of wine or something. Or Mary Kay, weren't they twins or something? I don't know who she is. But she's in Cleveland. And, of course, she's definitely made a name for herself because she tweeted out that Cleveland Browns tight end David Njoku, I don't know if the end's silent or not, so forgive me because you know I'm a name butcher. But he wants to get traded. And apparently the Cleveland Browns are looking for a number one pick. For a tight end, not named Gronk. Gronkowski, New England traded him for a third round. Yet Cleveland wants a number one. Are you smoking some crack? Now, let me start. This is funny that this happened today because this is one of those things I'd been working on actually today because I'd already started, I got my Cowboys Bible here because I was doing some numbers and some figures and writing down some statistics because I wanted to talk about this. When you think about the Dallas Cowboys offense last year, we put up a lot of yardage. We had a lot of drops. We led the NFL in drops, but we had two 1,000-yard receivers, and we could have had really a third had there not been so many drops or so many penalties, like tripping calls. How the heck? NFL, you're wrong. You're wrong. Oh, they didn't really trip. Our bad. Anyway, the area that you have to look at that the Dallas Cowboys offense didn't step into like the modern offense, we were still stuck in that Stone Age offense when it came to tight ends. Jason Witten, who has been an incredible player throughout his career, is now showing his age. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Tom Landry, who was the innovator for the Dallas Cowboys, at one point got old and what he was doing got stale. Other teams had caught up and passed him on what he was doing. And Father Time is undefeated. Jason Witten, who was reliable. Jason Witten's going to catch the ball. As Stephen A. Smith always says, I don't understand how he's always open. Well, I'm going to tell you how Jason Witten's open. And this is not unfortunately, too many of you guys, when I put out what's really going on, you automatically saying I'm throwing somebody under the bus. I'm not throwing them under the bus. I'm telling you the facts of where it is. Let me pull this up here. I got notes, okay? I can write and I can read. Let's just go through the list, okay? Travis Kelce, 1,229 yards, averaged 12.7 yards per completion, 5 TDs. Darren Walker, 1,145 yards, 12.7 yards per reception, 3 TDs. George Kittle, 1,053 yards, 12.4 yards per completion, 5 TDs. Now, of course, we know Carson Wentz didn't have anybody to throw to. But Zach Ertz, 916 yards, 10.4 yards per completion, 6 TDs. Mark Andrews with Baltimore. Now, he only had 852 yards, 13.3 yards per completion. Wow. And 10 TDs. Austin Hooper, Atlanta, 787 yards, 10.5 yards per completion, 6 TDs. Taylor Higbee, 734 yards, 10.6 yards per completion, 3 TDs. Jared Cook, New Orleans, 705 yards, 16.4 yards per completion, 9 TDs. Damn. Hunter Henry, Chargers, 652 receptions, 11.9 yards. 652 yards. 11.9 yards per reception, 5 TDs. The other guy that Carson Wentz didn't have to throw to, Dallas Gebhardt, 607 yards, 10.5 yards per completion, 5 TDs. Greg Olsen, who just retired, 597 yards, down year for him, 11.5, 2 TDs. Mike, I can't pronounce his last name. Mike from not State Farm, but from Miami, 570 yards, 11.2, 5 TDs. Noah Fant, 562 yards, 14.1 yards per completion, 3 TDs. And then we get to Father Time, Jason Witten with 529 yards. But that's not the problem. 8.4 yards per completion. Now, he did get 4 TDs. 8.4 yards per completion. On that list, the closest to him on that list is Austin Hooper, who has over 2 yards more per completion. Tight end, and you can look, you can see how top heavy winning teams are with tight ends. All the big names are here. You think about what Gronkowski has done for Tom Brady. They didn't have him last year, they didn't go to the Super Bowl. He's down there in Miami with them. I know he's had a year off, some time to heal, but I can guarantee you that connection will be here. And see, this is what most people don't seem to realize now is tight ends are now as important as wide receivers, because you can talk about the Philadelphia Eagles between Zach Ertz, 916 yards, as well as Dallas's 607. You got almost 1,600 yards and 11 TDs out of your tight ends. Tight ends are the gold standard when it comes to the new weapon. The Dallas Cowboys, I think most teams looked and said, you know what? We'd rather Jason Witten catch the ball than Michael Gallup going down the sidelines. We'd rather Jason Witten catch the ball than Amari Cooper. And so they would leave that soft zone there for Jason Witten to be open, the outlet, because we know he's not going to be able to run downfield. Now, here's the interesting thing, because as we think about David possibly being traded to the Cowboys, his numbers this past year, 5 receptions, 41 yards, 8.2 yards per completion. The year before, he had 56 or 639 yards, 11.4 yards per completion, 4 TDs. That's nothing spectacular. Certainly nothing for a tight end to give up a number 1 draft pick. Tight ends are one of those positions that usually the good ones come later in the draft. Very rarely are tight ends drafted in the first round. So stop with the whole thing of, Cleveland would love to trade to the Dallas Cowboys for a number 1, because nobody else is going to give you a number 1 for a guy who really didn't play last year. It's not going to happen. But here's the thing that's interesting. Out of all of the tight ends in the top 20, only 2 had less than 10 yards per completion. Kyle Rudolph and, of course, Jason Witten. And Kyle Rudolph still had a yard more than Jason Witten. But here's the good news. Here's the bright spot. Here's what's really freaking amazing. And what I'm looking for to be a major improvement for the Dallas Cowboys. Blake Jarwin. Now, granted, he only had 365 yards, but he was not the guy. Here's what's amazing. In limited play, he had 11.8 yards per reception and 3 TDs. That's ninth best yards per completion of all tight ends in the NFL. I'm okay at tight end. I don't think that this move or the possibility of making a trade for him is going to make your team that much better. I don't. That's not the one. That's not the area that you're going to have. I think Blake Jarwin is looking for the challenge, getting out from underneath Jason Witten's shadow. And with this new offense with Mike McCarthy, I think you're going to see him taking a prominent role. And make no mistake about it, the tight end is now actually a very important offensive weapon that the Dallas Cowboys need to start using. And they haven't been able to use them because Jason Witten has gotten old. And when Jason Witten retired, we had no experience for a tight end. It's been the forgotten man on the Dallas Cowboys. But I'm okay with what we got right now. So I hope you guys tune in tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, about 3 hours from now, for our live stream on this eve of 4th of July. But as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joby Sports Report. I'll see you soon. Don't like the heat. I don't like the heat.